The Baltimore Ravens went into Week 3 with a lot of people still buying into the hype, thinking this team was ready to make some serious noise in the AFC. But after Monday night against the Detroit Lions, it was a completely different story. Baltimore didn't just lose, they got pushed around in a way we don't usually see from this franchise. The scoreboard said 38-30, but if you watch the game, you know it felt worse than that. It wasn't about a fluky turnover or some questionable call late in the fourth quarter. This was about the Ravens getting straight up dominated by a more physical football team. The Lions walked into Baltimore's house and did the one thing that's not supposed to happen. They ran the ball all over what's been one of the toughest run defenses in the league. Last year, the Ravens didn't give up 150 rushing yards in a single game, not even in the playoffs. Yet here comes Detroit, dropping 225 rushing yards on them like it was nothing. That's not just unusual, that's alarming. And it wasn't one of those nights where you can point to a single busted coverage or one guy blowing assignments. This was across the board. The front seven got bullied. The linebackers were late filling gaps. Tackles were missed left and right. It felt like every time a Lions back touched the ball, he was falling forward for extra yardage. David Montgomery was the headline act, putting together a career-high 151 yards with 2 touchdowns, reminding everyone why he's been such a consistent 1,000-yard threat in his career. And when it wasn't Montgomery, it was Jahmyr Gibbs, adding 67 yards and another 2 touchdowns of his own. That's 4 rushing scores given up in a single game by a team that's supposed to pride itself on toughness. After the game, head coach John Harbaugh didn't sugarcoat anything. He made it clear this wasn't acceptable, not for a Ravens defense, not for this franchise's identity. He basically said there was no single excuse to lean on, no scapegoat to pin it on. The reality is the entire defense failed. And if you're a Ravens fan, hearing your coach admit that the unit didn't live up to the standard should sting, because this team has always been built on defense first. Baltimore's culture is about making opponents pay for every yard, and Monday night was the total opposite of that. You could hear the frustration from the players too. Safety Kyle Hamilton spoke about how demoralizing it is when an opponent just lines up and runs the ball down your throat. And he's right. Passing yards don't feel the same. When another team decides they're going to pound the rock over and over and you can't stop it, that breaks you physically and mentally. Hamilton admitted there were no excuses, no way to spin what happened. He said it straight. The defense has to put that fire out, and they failed to do it. Of course, credit where it's due. The Lions might have the best running back duo in the league right now with Montgomery and Gibbs. But even acknowledging their talent, the way Baltimore let them dictate the game was unacceptable. You can lose to great players, but you can't abandon who you are as a team, and that's exactly what it looked like. The worst part for the Ravens is that this isn't just about one game. It's about what it means moving forward. After that loss, Baltimore fell to 1 win and 3 losses on the season, and their defensive numbers are ugly. They're giving up over 400 yards a game, the highest average in the league right now. Against Detroit alone, they missed 20 tackles. Think about that, 20 missed tackles in one night. You can't win like that, not against playoff-caliber teams. And when you let opponents march 96 and 98 yards for touchdown drives, it's not just a breakdown here and there. That's systemic failure. All of this sets the stage for what's next, a trip to Arrowhead to face Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you're Baltimore, that's just about the last place you want to go when your defense looks this soft. The history at Arrowhead is brutal for the Ravens. Since 2008, they've been giving up nearly 30 points per game in that building. And here's the kicker. The last time Baltimore actually won there was way back in 2012 in a 9-6 grinded-out game. Neither Lamar Jackson nor Patrick Mahomes was even on the field that day. Since Mahomes took over, the Chiefs have had the Ravens' number. Lamar himself is just 1 win and 4 losses against Kansas City, and the overall matchup history isn't much better, with the Ravens sitting at 4 wins and 8 losses. So not only does Baltimore have to clean up its defensive mess, but Lamar Jackson is also staring at the chance to rewrite history. This isn't just about Week 4. This is about changing the narrative that says the Ravens can't win at Arrowhead, can't beat Mahomes when it matters. But that's a tall order, because the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. Even if they're only 1 win and 2 losses so far, they're coming off a confidence-building victory against the Giants, and they've been nearly unbeatable at home in recent years. Since 2021, Kansas City has gone 27-8 at Arrowhead, winning over 77% of their games. That's the mountain Baltimore is about to climb. And if Lamar Jackson wants to prove this team is serious, this is the stage to do it. But it's not only on him. The Ravens need everyone locked in, especially on offense, because costly mistakes have been just as damaging as the defensive lapses. Running back Derrick Henry, for example, has had a nightmare start to the season. Against Detroit, in the fourth quarter with the Ravens trailing 28-24, Henry coughed up the ball deep in his own territory. Aiden Hutchinson punched it out from behind, and Detroit turned it into points. That was Henry's third fumble in 3 games, and his second in the fourth quarter alone. To put it in perspective, across his previous 9 seasons, he only lost 2 fourth-quarter fumbles total in over 130 games. That's how out of character this slump is. Looking ahead to Arrowhead, the Ravens know they are walking into one of the most hostile environments in all of football. Kansas City is a place where the crowd doesn't just watch the game. They become a physical presence on the field. Every snap feels louder. Every line of scrimmage is a battle. And for a Baltimore team that is already reeling, it's a test of both character and execution. Lamar Jackson has faced struggles at Arrowhead before, but this season presents a chance to rewrite the narrative, to show that the Ravens can overcome the mental and physical challenges that have haunted them in this stadium for over a decade. The Chiefs' home record, with Patrick Mahomes at the helm, is staggering, and any slip-up by Baltimore could quickly turn into a multi-score deficit. That's why the Ravens have to be sharper, faster, and more disciplined than they've been all season. It starts with fundamentals. Tackling, gap discipline, and communication on defense can't be optional anymore. They're the difference between staying in the game and getting blown out. Against Detroit, the Ravens didn't just miss a few assignments. They allowed the Lions to dictate the tempo. They were chasing plays instead of controlling them. Arrowhead will not wait for you to get organized. One hesitation, one misread, and Mahomes will exploit it in ways that make a defensive collapse look inevitable. The Ravens' secondary, which has been under pressure, must step up, and the front 7 has to create push in the run game while applying consistent pressure in the backfield. If they don't, Kansas City will run up yards and points the way Detroit did, and Baltimore will find itself digging out of a hole that is nearly impossible to escape on the road. Offensively, the pressure is equally intense. Lamar Jackson carries not just the burden of being the quarterback, but also the weight of changing the perception of this team at Arrowhead. He can't rely solely on his arm or his legs. He has to orchestrate a performance where mistakes are minimized and every possession counts. That means protecting the football, reading the defense, and trusting his weapons. But the Ravens' offensive line has struggled at times, and Derrick Henry's fumbles have already put the team in a vulnerable position more than once. For Jackson, that's a mental battle. He has to stay focused, lead with confidence, and make sure his teammates are equally locked in. Arrowhead doesn't forgive mental errors, and if the Ravens show hesitation, they will pay. Even the supporting cast needs to rise to the occasion. Receivers have to run crisp routes, corners must stick to assignments, and running backs must secure the football every time it's in their hands. Every missed block, dropped pass, or missed tackle can snowball into a series of plays that put Baltimore behind the 8 ball in a hurry. Jackson has to manage all of this while also reading a defense that has enough talent and experience to confuse and punish a quarterback who isn't 100% on his reads. The stakes are high, and the margin for error is razor thin. Kansas City's defense is not forgiving either. They are opportunistic, physical, and smart in how they disguise pressures and coverages. Any miscommunication on Baltimore's offensive line or among receivers can lead to sacks, turnovers, or stalled drives. And that's assuming the Ravens even get a chance to move the ball consistently. Arrowhead is a place where time of possession is key, and the Chiefs have historically controlled that through a combination of efficient passing, a powerful run game, and relentless pressure. If Baltimore doesn't adapt quickly, they risk falling behind early and being forced into predictable, high-risk plays that only increase the likelihood of mistakes. On the mental side, overcoming the past is as important as the physical battle. Lamar Jackson and this team have a long memory when it comes to struggles at Arrowhead. Losses linger, and doubts creep in when the scoreboard doesn't reflect effort. But Jackson is the kind of player who thrives under pressure, And if he can channel that frustration into focus, he can lift the entire team. Leadership in the locker room will be tested, and the Ravens' ability to stay united, calm, and disciplined under hostile conditions will determine whether they can escape with a win or simply fall into another familiar pattern of disappointment. Special teams also become critical in games like this. Field position can dictate the pace, and a single mistake, whether it's a blocked kick, a mismanaged return, or a missed tackle, can swing momentum in Kansas City's favor. Baltimore has to execute cleanly in all three phases, because even one breakdown can magnify the defensive struggles and put Lamar Jackson under pressure to make plays that force risk and create turnovers. The Ravens' margin for error is slim, and every player on the roster has to understand that the smallest misstep could be the difference between a signature road win and a discouraging blowout. What makes this matchup particularly intense is the historical context. Arrowhead has been a fortress for the Chiefs for years, and the Ravens have had their struggles there for well over a decade. The narrative is stacked against them: long losing streaks, limited success against Mahomes, and the psychological edge Kansas City enjoys at home. But history is also something that can be rewritten. For Jackson, this is more than just a regular season game. It's an opportunity to prove that past losses don't define this team's identity. Every throw, every run, every defensive stand will be measured not just in yards or points, but in the effort to finally break free from patterns that have haunted Baltimore at this stadium for so long. And while Jackson bears a heavy load, the responsibility is shared. Derrick Henry, despite his fumbles, is capable of carrying the offense in key moments, provided he secures the ball and runs with precision. The receiving core must make contested catches, avoid mental lapses, and keep drives alive. The offensive line has to hold the pocket longer than they did against Detroit, and the defense must finally find a way to stop elite running backs and pressure Mahomes into mistakes. It's a monumental challenge, but it's exactly the type of challenge that can define a season. The Ravens' season could be shaped by this one game. A loss at Arrowhead in the manner of Detroit could spiral into deeper struggles, while a competitive performance, or better yet, a win, could re-energize the team, solidify Jackson's leadership, and give the defense the confidence it desperately needs. It's a make-or-break environment, and Baltimore knows it. Nothing less than full commitment, execution, and focus will suffice. Every detail matters, from first down to fourth quarter, from the opening kickoff to the final whistle. Mistakes have to be corrected, lapses and focus eliminated, and every player must be on the same page. The stakes couldn't be higher. Arrowhead Stadium isn't just another road game. It's a proving ground where the Ravens can either succumb to their history or take a decisive step toward rewriting it. Lamar Jackson's leadership, Derrick Henry's discipline, and the entire team's ability to execute at the highest level will determine if this team can finally shake the struggles of the past. Every play, every decision, and every ounce of effort will matter in a game that has the potential to define the trajectory of Baltimore's season. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. The Baltimore Ravens are reportedly shaking the NFL to its core. Rumors have been swirling all week, and sources close to the team suggest that the Ravens are on the verge of signing Tyreek Hill, the league's fastest wide receiver and one of the most explosive offensive weapons in recent memory. If true, this move could instantly transform Baltimore's offense into the most electrifying, lightning-quick attack the NFL has ever seen. Tyreek Hill, known for his jaw-dropping speed and game-breaking plays, would bring a dimension to the Ravens' offense that few defenses could possibly handle. Imagine Lamar Jackson taking the snap and having a receiver who can turn a short pass into a 70-yard touchdown in the blink of an eye. The chemistry between Jackson and Hill could make defenses dizzy, and opponents are already reportedly panicking at the mere thought of the matchup. Analysts are whispering that this pairing could redefine what it means to run a high-octane offense. Fans are going wild at the prospect. Social media feeds are exploding with speculation, memes, and mock highlight reels of Hill racing down the sideline, leaving defenders grasping at air. The Ravens, long respected for their strategic offensive schemes and athletic quarterbacks, may now be taking a bold gamble that could pay off in historic fashion. Could this be the missing piece for a team that has flirted with greatness but often fell short in the playoffs? Critics, of course, are weighing in with their doubts. Hill's injury history and the price of a potential contract could be risky, but Baltimore seems ready to bet on sheer speed and explosive talent. The NFL world is holding its breath, and insiders suggest an official announcement could be imminent. One thing is clear: if this deal goes through, the Ravens' attack won't just be fast, it will be blinding. Opposing teams might have to rethink everything they know about defense, because suddenly, stopping Baltimore could be a near impossible task. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.